I mean, I think the hard thing is when so much of your identity is baked in your achievements or accomplishments or acquisitions, when that part of your life takes a pause or stops, and you're kind of very lost. Part of that was what I experienced with TOMS and, not feeling connected to a larger purpose. When that kind of all stopped when I sold TOMS, it's not surprising that I had a crash. I recognized this concept of a core wound and that I had one, and it was that I never felt that I was enough.
Today on the Messy Parts, we're going to have on Blake Mycoskie. He was the founder of TOMS Shoes, a renowned company that I know you've heard of. But I actually asked him on because he put a post on LinkedIn talking about how post-sale he went into severe depression, so much so that he actually considered ending his life. And then on the other side, he actually discovered that he was enough, that the wound that he'd been carrying was something that he needed to look into and discover that he's enough. In a world where we suffer with mental health issues, he's trying to fix that by reminding people and giving them the mantra that has helped him. It's a very interesting conversation, and I know you love Tom, so you'll love to hear about his journey today. Blake, I'm going to actually start with your LinkedIn post because that's actually what had me reach out to you before I got Megan to connect us. You posted recently about having basically accomplished a lot of success, right? Mm-hmm. You had a company, TOMS, which many people will remember. And then you very openly and vulnerably on LinkedIn, a place where not a lot of people share their personal stories. Really, it's usually about, all the awards you've won. You shared about having been depressed and this journey that lasted for a period of time.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed by those stories because if we were all honest, we would all acknowledge that we all have messy parts, despite what it looks like from the outside.
Yeah.
What made you write that post? Like, what was going through your head before you pushed publish? Yeah.
I mean, I think what I have found is the more open and honest I am about my story, it's actually part of my own healing. Mm-hmm. I think for many years when I was depressed and suffering quietly, and I was ashamed about it, of how I was feeling, because I was like, how do I deserve to be depressed? Like, if I was honest with people how I felt, they would laugh. I've made all this money, I had this family, I had this wonderful house, like I have all the things that look like, add up to a great life. And yet I was really suffering. And so for 3.5 years, I didn't make a single post on any social media channel. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that today the bar for being depressed is like not making a post on social for
Well, I think for me, it was just, I was ashamed of how I was feeling and I didn't want to tell anyone. And so I didn't feel like I could post about anything because then I would be kind of lying to the world about, and it was a weird dynamic. But my point is, the reason why I made the LinkedIn post, the reason why I started the No Magic Pill podcast, the reason why I am doing social media again, is I realized that, my story was not that unique. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of people who were feeling this way. And the more that I shared about my story, not only could I help other people not feel alone like I did for those 7 years, but also it's kind of therapeutic for myself. Because I feel more connected to other people, even if it is on a LinkedIn. I mean, here we are today.
Here we are. It led to an in-person meeting.
Yeah, it works.
It's interesting that you describe having had 7 years of depression, which I fully understand. And I will share a little bit of my own story so you don't feel like you're just hanging out alone on the couch. Because I also watched a whole bunch of your podcasts and read a bunch of things. And you had friends like Chip Conley who checked in on you.
Yeah.
So you told some people, at least you revealed some.
I did.
And you did have a support network, but really in the end, the work is kind of individual.
You can have great friends and you can have support, and that's really important. But ultimately, you have to do the inner work yourself.
So there's a conference that happens in New York called Collective Futures, and it's really run by a tech company, a venture company. So last year they had a panel about the second mountain that I attended. And this year they asked me to moderate that panel. And it's a small group because most of them are still trying to raise money. But it was really interesting for me to sit in the room again to hear from people like you who actually had these big exits. And one of the common themes, right, is exactly what you're describing, which is what you're saying, like, it's not unique. It's like, I was a founder. I exited with $1 billion and I feel terrible. And how can I I don't have a right to feeling terrible
Yeah.
because I have accomplished what everybody tells me I should want.
Yeah.
And yet, who am I if I'm not a founder? My entire identity is, wrapped up in that. So that's kind of the journey it sounds like you went on, because you had a very big success. I
Yeah.
mean, you had success before that, but you had life-changing success
For sure.
with TOMS.
For sure.
You were like a celebrity. People
Yeah.
recognized you.
They called me Tom at every airport.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because your name's not Tom.
Yeah.
So just talk about that, because I do think that it's a common thing. You don't have to have $1 billion exit.
No.
I know tons of people in the C-suite who, when they step away, they say, I don't know what to do. And I go to a cocktail party and I don't know how to introduce myself.
I mean, I think the hard thing is when so much of your identity is baked in your achievements or accomplishments or acquisitions, when that part of your life takes a pause or stops, and you're kind of very lost. I mean, you see this a lot with professional athletes that retire as well. And I think part of that was what I experienced with TOMS, and not feeling connected to a larger purpose, because so much of what we did with TOMS Shoes was in helping people. And so when that kind of all stopped, when I sold TOMS, it's not surprising that I had a crash. I think the thing that for me, I recognize this concept of a core wound, and that I had one, and it was that I never felt that I was enough.
So I want to go back, right? Because I listened to you say that, you were like the apple of the family's eye, firstborn, first grandchild, like really a lot of attention came to you. You were a tennis player, you started businesses. I mean, I know you dropped out of college, but you really had a drive in you from an early age to accomplish.
I think that, from a karmic perspective, I think perhaps I was born to, heal this wound in this lifetime. The wound is really that I am not enough. And so this idea that I felt like the only way I could get love or acceptance in this world was to be proving myself, and nothing was ever enough. And so,
but you were getting love. I mean, it sounds like you had
I think for someone who has the core wound of not feeling enough, I was a master at creating external circumstances to soothe that pain, because I got all the external validation in the world. And even after I kind of, reached the mountaintop, I didn't feel like I was there, and so that crash led me to, getting very depressed, and then when depressed, making lots of decisions that just, messed up my personal life and everything else, which then created shame and a downward spiral.
So you were looking for external validation, which I get. I think we probably share that in some way. But I also feel like I came from a loving family. Like I never questioned that I was loved at home.
I don't have a story of like big T trauma and like, oh, my parents told me I wasn't enough, or they only gave me love when I won tennis matches. That's not my story. Where I've landed is, I think somehow, whether it's a past life or something else, I needed to heal this wound of not feeling enough. And I feel like that's part of what I came to do. And that's what I feel like in the last 2 years on this journey, I've really been able to do. For instance, I got an award called the ACE Award, and I got the same award. It's the Accessories Council of America.
I saw it on actually your Instagram
And
post.
so I got the same award in 2009, where TOMS got Brand of the Year. And it's pretty much the biggest award you can get in the accessories if you're in that business. And last night for our Enough bracelet, I got the Impact Award. And so it's been 17 years since I was on that, basically the same stage, and a lot of the same people, to be honest. And when I was giving my acceptance speech, I was like, this might look very similar to you guys. I'm 17 years older, but it feels totally different to me. And
in what way?
And just like, I had nothing to prove. I felt light in my body. I was really grateful for the honor, but it didn't change anything how I woke up this morning. That drive of needing to win or needing to succeed is just not there. And yet I haven't lost the drive. I've started 3 companies in the last year.
You had a lot of companies that had success. You had success with the laundry business, right? Like you had a muscle memory that said, I can do this.
Yes.
And then you did TOMS, and it almost to me seems like there was a pivot, because all of a sudden with TOMS, you weren't just a business person. In fact, you actually didn't call yourself CEO, right?
Yeah.
And when you walked in, you said, here's a gift. I have a bracelet for you, right? So, and it really struck me like, there's this element of also the generosity of giving.
Yes.
It's not just not the enough, because I think something also unlocked in you because you also became sort of the giver
Yes.
as a brand,
Yeah.
which is actually a weight.
It is. I think that was a lot of pressure at TOMS. I mean, I think that also led to the pressure I was putting on myself got way magnified when I became kind of like a personality in the business world. Because
For people who don't know TOMS, just do 2 seconds on what the generosity
I mean,
of TOMS
so
was.
I mean, in 2006, I had this idea that if I sell a pair of shoes today, I would give away a pair tomorrow. I met some amazing young children in Argentina that didn't have shoes, and I wanted to give them shoes. It was a really simple idea. We called them Tomorrow's Shoes at first, but then that was too long for the tag. So Tomorrow's became TOMS. And then, of course, people called me Tom for about 10 years. And we started, very simply, had no investors. The whole company was like started out of my apartment in Venice, California. And we grew it to about $1 billion business.
Why do you think it is about you, now that you've done this is so amazing.
Yeah.
Now that you've done all this work, that made you want to solve that problem?
I think if I look back at it, my parents are incredibly generous. My dad's a doctor. My mom wrote cookbooks to help, mainly women with their health and fitness. And
I saw that Instagram post and I loved it.
Yeah, thank you. That's one of my favorite posts. My mom is such an inspiration and such an amazing woman.
I mean, she basically did a book, sort of a DIY book that sold 1 million copies.
Oh yeah, it's the number 1 selling cookbook for 4 years in the United States. She made like $20 million.
You definitely have the gene from your parents.
I mean, who makes $20 million on a book? Because she self-published.
Yeah,
exactly. She's selling them. They were like a spiral bounded cookbook. She was selling for $22.
She was like in a Jane Fonda-like outfit.
Yeah, like totally Jane Fonda. I think the cost of making it was like $1.50. I mean, we used to get checks in the mail for like $700,000 as a kid. And I was like, what is this? It was nuts. So I really had a great mentor to see like how to literally bootstrap something. She had no publisher, like same thing. Like I had no investors. My sister's company, my sister's never had an investor. I mean, we just.
Your sister is the founder of Aviation Nation.
Yeah. So we're a unique bunch. But I think the generosity part, I did see my parents, always helping others, always donating to local charities. My dad really caring about people's health. My mom caring about people's health.
But as a brand, that has a double-edged thing, right?
Yeah.
Because
it's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure.
That's what I was saying is that I think that led to, once I started like being seen as kind of this like saintly business figure, because we were a business, we were making money. We were also helping people. That was a lot of pressure as well. And, one of the darkest moments for me was actually around the time I sold the company. I got this like very big Nelson Mandela Family Award. And it was like one of the worst nights of my life.
Why?
You're connecting me, you're comparing me to Nelson Mandela. This is
you felt like a fraud?
Yeah. I thought this is such a total imposter syndrome and total like, hold on, I'm an entrepreneur. I had a good idea. I help a lot of people, but I also made a lot of money. This should not be in the same conversation. And so much of what has changed in the last 2 years, I really believe is somewhat somatic, because I can feel like, oh, wow, that was a beautiful thing we did. And I don't feel like the weight or the pressure that I did back then.
As you know, this podcast is called The Messy Parts. There were messy parts to actually the journey with TOMS. Yeah. And one of them was you got some blowback because once you become a saint, you're sort of...
Oh, for sure.
People are waiting to take you down.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I mean, the blowback was, okay, well, you're taking jobs from local shoemakers in these towns. And, and then we tried to like respond to that by creating a factory in Haiti and a factory in Ethiopia, which, I don't think actually really changed the concern of that. But yeah, I mean, that was a hard part of it too, especially for someone who cares about what people think of them.
But you've been able to sort of let it go.
Yeah, I have. I mean, I was telling someone the other day is because I don't source my intrinsic worth based on, what other people think or what I'm doing, what I built. Like, I feel so free to be creative now. One of the things that I've learned or experienced, even with the We Are Enough bracelets, is like when you're really desperate to sell or to get someone to be part of it or whatever, it's not as effective. Like now, because I don't want to say I don't care, I care, but I don't have this like burning need or desire to be loved and accepted. And I just find that we like almost have like a magnetic effect of the people who are wanting to be involved.
Well, it's interesting because with TOMS, you also started a movement. And with this, you're also trying to start a movement.
Very much. I mean, with We Are Enough, it very much is a lot of similarities to what we did with TOMS, and using a lot of the same playbook in terms of how we, get it into culture and get it out there. The difference is we don't have sizes, which is nice.
Yeah. Yes.
I have one bracelet.
Supply chain issues are more minimal.
Yeah, I have one group of amazing women in India that make it, and that's all I need, and it's great.
So if somebody's a founder, if they're either in the business hoping for that big exit or just out, now with retrospect, what's the advice you would give them?
A couple of things. I'm glad you asked that question. I mean, the first thing that I would do if I had an exit and I was a founder is I would make sure that I have something that is meaningful to put my talent and energy into coming out of that.
What does that mean?
Well, like, I mean, find whatever you're passionate about, from a philanthropic standpoint, from a purpose standpoint. I went from like all this purpose, all this work, all this like dopamine of working to like living in Jackson Hole, snowboarding and, taking care of a kindergartner. That was a big shift. And I think my system was not prepared for such a shift. Like I had wished that was doing more mentoring or was on some boards or was engaging my entrepreneurial brain, because all that energy that went into building TOMS had to go somewhere. And for a while it went into, climbing mountains and snowboarding and surfing, but that's only going to last a certain period of time.
You didn't have the instinct to immediately found another company.
Yeah, I did not. I think that's because I was just exhausted. I mean, TOMS was a crazy amount of work. It grew so fast. I mean, and we scaled so fast that like from a work perspective, I was just exhausted.
Because I find a lot of the founders end up just it's like they just go right back in it.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And that can be its own,
it's its own
numbing mechanism.
Sort of wheel. Because one of the things I say all the time is like, there's other things you can do. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of problems in the world, affordability crisis. Like there's other ways you can be useful.
For sure.
But they're like, but I'm a founder. That's who I am.
For me, it was really never about making money or even business, really. I mean,
you actually started without a business plan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No business plan. No. I mean, we called it the Shoes for Tomorrow project. And it was just like, hey, let's try to sell a couple thousand pairs and we'll go back for Christmas and give them to all the kids. And then we'll do it again and we'll go back for summer. And then, and it really took off. So going back to the founders is like, or anyone really, it could be anyone listening or watching, is the thing that I've learned is that like, just this amazing fact that we're alive right here and that we are having this human experience, like, and this moment is enough. The more that you can find a way to do that, and meditation has been a huge way for me of doing that, the more you can live in the present moment. And I think every spiritual teacher throughout history would agree on like one thing. The present moment is the only place you really can access peace and joy consistently. And for me, what I found was when you don't feel enough, you're either constantly living in the past or you're living in the future. But once you can really learn to sit in the fact that you're enough just as you are, then you get to live in the present moment. And that's where the juice is. That's where, I mean, that to me, from a parenting standpoint, from a relation standpoint, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, from being right here, right now, like I am here. And I don't know if I would have been here 15 years ago if we were talking about TOMS and I was thinking, okay, what's the next thing I have to do?
You have to really work hard. There's nobody who comes on this couch who hasn't had enormous hustle in order to have reached what we call success.
But I would say the hustle, like, I mean, it was funny. A good friend of mine sent me this very nice text yesterday about the launch of the podcast. And he was just like, very complimentary. I can't believe like you just launched this. You've got like 500,000 views on your first episode. How the fuck did you do this? And I was like, I'm just a hustler. That was my response. Just hustling a new thing. I mean, I love the hustle. Like I love like figuring out how to get guests and how to get it marketed on YouTube.
It's definitely a high.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's just fun. But the difference is I recorded these 16 episodes and I am now releasing them. And I told everyone when I was doing it, even my guests, I was like, I don't know where this thing go. I'm treating it like an art project. So like I never would have treated this like an art project, 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
It's so interesting that you say that, because one of the other things we do is this, and I grew up in business like you. is this thing called The Longest Table where we set it down and
I
2,000
saw that.
people
Yeah.
come. Yeah.
It's super cool.
And people say to me all the time, how are you monetizing that? And I
Yeah.
finally was like, I'm just thinking of it as an art project
Yeah.
because people don't think of an art project and say, how are you monetizing it? You know, you talk about how when you left Tom's and all these things sort of collided for you, people talk about businesses
It's
as
like
their
birth,
babies
yeah.
because it definitely is all
It's
encompassing.
a good analogy.
It also cost you like on a personal level, on your like personal life. It wasn't just about yourself in a lot of ways. Like you have an ecosystem. I mean, I was just walking this morning when I was getting coffee and my daughter called and I said, oh, I'm in the middle of something. And then I remembered what she said to me, which is, you never have time for me. You're always busy, right? Right. We all know that I'm busy. There's a thing you achieve with that, but also a cost with that.
Sure.
What was that like on the other side of that?
And when I sold Tom's, I had a lot more time. But I think that the problem is I was now maybe putting too much pressure on my marriage to fulfill the validation that I was getting from Tom. So
Fill the hole.
Yeah. So I actually think my marriage suffered, which ultimately led to an unfortunate divorce. But we're great friends now.
And two beautiful children.
Yeah, and 2 great kids. But I do think that, you would think that more time would equal a happier personal life. And it definitely didn't for me. I think because I wasn't in a good place, I was then looking to everyone around me to be potentially the cause of my suffering.
You know, when it stops, when that wheel stops. I mean, I had a big job at Hyde and I took a year and a half off and it was hard. I mean, the first thing I did was go on a lot of walks. Like I was just moving, physically moving.
Yeah.
Right. But those moments of anxiety come not immediately, like in spurts, like things trigger you.
The first, year or two, I moved to Jackson Hole. I snowboard every day. I took up surf trips in the off seasons. Like I kept myself busy with
living
stuff.
the dream.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely was living the dream. I think it was about in the second year is when I just, the luster of all the activities and the freedom and that started to wear off. And I started to feel that like lack of purpose.
But what did that feel like when you say it felt like that? What did that feel
like? The best way I can describe, if someone's never been depressed, the best way I can describe it is this like really bad jet lag. You should be awake, but you're so tired and it's daytime and all you want to do is sleep. That's what depression felt like to me. If someone is wondering like, oh, am I depressed or am I just going through a hard time? I think the difference is, and anxiety is a whole different beast, which we can talk about as well, because I've experienced plenty of that. But the depression part is really just, you feel like you're kind of like a little bit underwater.
What does the anxiety feel like?
Yeah, the anxiety for me is just a lot of like ruminating, repeating thoughts around typically something that like I've done that I have regret around, or that something that like I have signed up for that I don't want to do, or like a commitment I've made that I shouldn't have made. And then it's kind of beating myself for doing those things. And that's the spiral.
Yes, we all have that voice in our head.
Yeah, we all have that. And then it often leads to not sleeping well, which then leads to tiredness, which, it's all so connected.
Cycle.
Yeah. We treat mental health issues like they're like failures or problems or like something bad has happened to you. But the reality is in the United States, about half of the population by age 60 will have broken a bone. At the same time, 50% of people will have been diagnosed with some mental health condition. Now, when we think about broken bones, we don't think that's big of a deal. You just go get it fixed. You take some time off. We don't treat mental health like that. So when you have, all of a sudden some severe anxiety, or you go through a depressive state, maybe you lost a parent or a friend and you're grieving and the grieving turns into a slight depression. And like we treat it like, oh shit. And then we don't tell anyone because we're ashamed of it.
Well, it's also not visible.
It's
a
not
broken
visible.
Bone you
Yeah,
see.
very good point. Yeah. And so that's why I'm dedicating so much of my time to getting this We Are Enough message out to young people, to all people.
If you succeed, what does that look like?
Everyone's wearing a bracelet. You're wearing a bracelet. You're wearing a bracelet. You're wearing a bracelet. And I say that is a joke, but it also is serious because I do think having a symbol that collects us and connects us will change the conversation. Because I remember when everyone was wearing TOMS for a while and people were connected. Oh, you're wearing a pair. I'm wearing a pair. Like we all kind of care about doing good with our purchase.
But
like,
why does it have to be a product? Why is your end goal a product?
Well, that's just what I know. I mean, it's kind of like a founder's a founder.
Yeah.
Like I know that you can create cultural conversation shifts with something that people wear on their bodies because it creates a part of their identity. It creates conversation. Like if I gave you the enough bracelet. So let's say you're wearing it today and you go to your coffee shop tomorrow that you went to today and you see someone else wearing it. There's a pretty good chance you're going to say something to them. Total stranger. It's not just raising awareness or destigmatizing mental health. It's actually, you're actually sending a signal to those around you that they can talk to you.
Listen, it's interesting as I hear you talk, I think about, it's hard for me not to think about the longest table, right? Because it's really a movement to connect people to each other. And part of my experience of going to the coffee shop is I run into neighbors and I don't know them well. So I don't have a deep conversation about whether I'm feeling depressed. So, I mean, there is a deeper level for sure to being seen. But just that idea of, oh, hi, Ruben, how are you? And people are in their own head. And that moment of acknowledgement does change the chemicals in your brain in terms of how you feel on a given day.
And you're really blessed that you have that. I mean, I don't know what the research says, but most people.
But I didn't have that until we created the longest table. I didn't know my neighbors.
Got it. Okay, great.
Do you know what I mean? What it's created.
Most people don't have that. Yeah.
So we live in a culture, right, that I think very much romanticizes the making of money. How do you walk away from that, like as a measure? Because that is so much of like how we measure our success.
It's easy. When it doesn't work, it's very easy to walk away from it.
But do you think that's easy for you to say because you have life-changing money?
For me, of course. Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. I mean, I thought you were asking me personally, like, how do you walk away from that belief that money is going to solve things? Well, you try it and it doesn't work. But it's funny, Ted Turner, I had the opportunity. You
started a cable network.
Well, I did start a cable network, and I also lived on a sailboat, and I started my first business was an outdoor advertising company, all same things that Ted Turner did. There was this event at the UN, and this is when TOMS was kind of at its height, and they knew that there was these similarities with me and Ted, and that someone knew that I was just like kind of was obsessed with Ted. And so they asked me if I wanted to be the one to interview Ted at the UN. And it was like one of the last times that he had like a big kind of public appearance. They arranged for us to have this little private breakfast, just the two of us, right before we go on stage.
Helpful.
And so I'm, trying not to be too much of a fanboy, but also showing him that I've done my research. Right before we go on stage, we're sitting there kind of in the green room now. They've transitioned us. And he says, Blake, I really think you're going to make it to the top of the mountain.
Weren't you already at the top of the mountain?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not in Ted Turner's eyes yet. And he says, you have the drive and the this. And he's very complimentary. He's like, and you're going to get up there. I know it. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you get up at the top of the mountain, you're going to look in that golden chest. And I'm going to tell you right now that chest is empty. And I said, okay. He said, but also I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to climb and see that for yourself. And then we went on stage. And so I was
Did you say, what does that mean?
Exactly. So the whole interview, I'm thinking,
you're like,
chest,
wait, what?
mountain, top. He's already been there. He told me it's empty, but I still have to do it.
He was throwing you off your game.
Yeah. But I think that's exactly around the money thing is like, we can talk all day on this podcast. People can read books. People can read everything in the world about how money does not buy happiness. I mean, there's a great book, I think that Dan Gilbert wrote about happiness. And there's all this research that says like over like $150,000 a year, and this is back a few years ago, like there's no increase in happiness. I think that, people have to kind of learn these lessons themselves. I never even believed that the money was the happiness. Like I was more trying to get the success of the validation and doing big things and having people say, you're good enough. But yeah, I mean, the money thing is, I don't think it's ever proven to be the answer.
After you have the basic amount.
Yeah, after you have the basic amount, of course.
And so what do you think it is about happiness? Because I think about that a lot, right? Like I think it's like balance. They set up this measure that you can never actually accomplish on a regular basis. It's not a constant state happiness.
No.
So by definition, when you say to people, you have to be happy, you're setting them up to not actually be happy.
Totally. I mean, my thing is, I talked about this earlier, is my whole thing is just be present. When you're present is the only time, if I'm really, really present, is when I feel like I'm here. And I feel like I'm here, then I feel a greater sense of peace. I feel a greater sense of joy. Oftentimes I get to experience awe. If my kids say, what do I focus on? It's like, whatever helps you be more present. And if you think about that for a second, going back to founders and this, why do the founders maybe have like no mental health issues while they're building their companies, and then they sell, and then all of a sudden They don't have anything. Well, part of it might be that they were really present when they were building that company. And that one thing, they were
you have to be all in.
Yeah. And so they were fully there. And so when you're fully there, you're in a state of deep presence.
How has this changed your relationship on a personal level with your kids and partners?
Oh, this with my kids has been amazing. So I have an 11-year-old and 8-year-old biological kids. I also have a 31-year-old adopted Ethiopian son who's the producer of No Magic Pill. I'm so proud of him. He graduated USC Film School, and he also is probably my greatest. Like, he parents me more than I parent him now, because he's like, Blake, think we're doing too much. Like, gotta calm it, slow down.
Well, the children are definitely mine said to me, Mom, you're the busiest unemployed person I know. So yeah.
But my 8-year-old and 11-year-old, I think all these years that I didn't feel enough, I was projecting onto them that they weren't enough. It's something that
we all pass it down.
It hurts to say out loud, but it's definitely something I've unpacked. And
what did that look like?
Well, I just think that's the thing, is it never looked like me telling my son, like, oh, if you don't score a water polo goal, you're not going to be loved or enough. Same as my parents. It's like this felt pressure that they need to be someone, to do something. And when I really started to heal this, and my kids, unfortunately, saw the darkest part of my depression, where I had to go to treatment centers and be away for months. And I mean, it was very, very hard with them and my ex-wife, and she managed it incredibly well. But as they saw me come back to life, I mean, they literally saw their dad, like, can't get out of bed, to like never been more alive. And when they were able to see that that was connected to this feeling of that I am enough and I don't have to prove myself. And then they helped me with the design of the bracelet and the whole thing. But I saw them relax, especially my 11-year-old son. I still, think my daughter's really, really hard stuff. I think it might be wired into the DNA more. We do this little thing at dinner where we all hold hands. So we look each other in the eyes, and each of us takes our turn. And one says, I'm enough. You are enough. We are enough.
We had somebody on the other day, an amazing journalist who wrote a book called Family Dynamics. Interestingly, she became fascinated by families where the siblings all do well. I think about that for you, because you have another sibling. Actually, you have two siblings.
Both successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So talk about that. Like, what was it in the dynamics of your family that, if you look back and reflect, has made you all successful?
I think we had really great role models. My dad was not just a physician, but he also kind of built a hospital and started an orthopedic group, and like was very entrepreneurial within the medical field. My mom writing the book, I'm the oldest. So my younger brother and sister were really young, watching all this of, someone typing it out, to boxing it, to shipping it, to being on, all the talk shows. So I think we saw that it was possible, to have a dream and to follow that dream. And then we had parents that were really supportive of, like, don't be afraid to fail. There really was no like, oh, what if it doesn't work? Or what if you lose money? Or, it's kind of like, that's this fun idea. Go try it and see what happens.
Is there anything you want to talk about that we didn't get to talk about? Any messy moment or anything that's upcoming?
I have a messy moment with the morning water. That's the reason I brought
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so if you give me the box, this is a really fun story. It's a very messy moment.
You can also bring the bracelet, so we can do both if you want.
Okay, great. So
good packaging, by the way.
Thank you. Well, this is the messy.
Also love the green.
Okay, so the messy moment has to do with the packaging.
Okay.
My partner with Morning Water is quite a bit younger than me. First time to have this kind of entrepreneur opportunity. We have this morning water formula, and so it's like creatine, L-theanine, magnesium, and you take it every morning. And what you do is right when you wake up. So before you brush your teeth, before you have your coffee, you chug it, and it comes with this bottle. Amazing. And I'll show you this. And so what happened
unboxing. We're doing it right here.
Unboxing. Make sure I'm still on the mic here.
Okay.
So the messy moment is these are the packets. Okay. And so we have this morning water challenge, which comes with a box where you do it for 30 days. And if you don't feel better after 30 days, we give you your money back. So it comes in this beautiful packaging that he designed. And when he was designing it, we had a situation where we hadn't finished our formula yet.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know how thick the formula was going to be. So long story short is that we got 30,000 of the boxes, all the packs, getting ready to ship our first things, and we can't fit 30 into the box because this is now too thick. He calls me in a panic. This is a messy moment. And And I'm like, okay, calm down. Let's think about this. I'm like, so how much can fit in? He said, only 25. We can't do a 30-day challenge with 25 packets. Da, da, da. So this is what we did. I said, look, you're going to go get a rubber band.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to put 5 packs in here. And then you're going to write a card being really honest about what happened. And I think it'll actually, people will feel more connected because they'll know one of their first customers. So this is what he wrote. He wrote, we moved fast. We broke things. Mark Zuckerberg made that famous. Turns out it works great until you're staring at 300,000 stick packs that don't fit in the cylinder you just manufactured. Here's what happened. And he tells the story of what happened. And people have been posting this online and it's gone viral. And it's like, I think it's contributed to like all the growth the first 6 months.
Because he was transparent.
Honest about the messiness.
Yes.
You know?
Because we all
people were
actually
like,
want that.
People were like, oh, that's so cool that it's that small of a business that this is such a big deal. And I'm so glad that I'm one of the first customers. So yeah. So here's your morning water. You got the morning water challenge. Yeah. And you have to tell me after 30 days.
Okay.
How do you feel?
Otherwise,
okay.
I'm getting my money back.
Well, you didn't pay for it, so I don't know.
I'm still getting my money back. What kind of a challenge is that?
Now my favorite part of my day is giving one of the Enough bracelets.
Okay.
So I'm going to open your wrist like this. And
am I going to feel like I'm enough? I'm not sure about this,
you'll see. We'll see. Okay. So it's not like a quick fix, but I give you the bracelet.
It's not a magic pill.
It's not a magic pill. There you go. Okay, so then also I have a poem to go with it. Okay, it's in the box though. So when you give it to someone,
yes,
in this little card is this poem.
Okay, that
my friend NQ wrote. Do you know NQ, the poet?
No.
Oh wow! So anyone who's listening or watching, check out NQ. He's an amazing poet. It goes like this: I see you, the you behind the you, not for anything you've done or anything you're gonna do. I don't stop to say it enough, but I believe in you. And if you could see yourself from my view, you'd believe it too. That's why I'm giving you the gift that I'm receiving too. A message to remind you when you're lost or feeling blue. A mantra to repeat when times are tough, because no matter who you are enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's like a Dr. Seuss poem.
Yeah, he's great. He's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, one final question for you. What is one piece of advice you have for somebody in their 30s?
If someone's in their 30s, the piece of advice that I give them, and I'd say 20s or 30s,
okay,
I'm going to clarify that, is at this stage in your life, you're probably not going to make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So
unless you're in banking.
Well, maybe, but this is my point. This is exactly my point in this advice. So do something that you really, really, really love. Because what I have found is the people who do end up having financial freedom and do make more money, they usually make it in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they make it because they're truly great at something. If you're just taking a job in your 20s or 30s, like maybe in banking, for the most money, your passion might not be connected to it. So you might find yourself in your 40s and 50s and 60s having a fine career, but never be truly great at something.
Thank you. And by the way, you are enough.
Thank you. I feel it.
I hope you share this episode. If you enjoyed it, of course, send a review, like it, and tell 10 people. And also, if for some reason you're suffering, which many of us are in different ways and different days, please seek help. Blake did. And, I think we all deserve to have a little bit of peace.